Now it's the Vesak time. I hope that you are learning and then you are reflecting about what is Vesak and how to understand the Buddha's three main events and all that. So it's a huge journey that everybody uh, goes through during this time. Today, we are going to look at the second set of uh, karmic influences to our life. It's about why are some always healthy, uh, whereas why some others are having some health issues, perhaps time to time, more or less. Is it primarily because of karma or is it due to some other reasons? So this is what we are going to look at today. Before we get to the notes today, I want to once again tell you the main narrative of this sutta, which is that karma is primarily the reason, but it does not mean that every situation in our life with regard to long life, short life, uh, good health, poor health, they all happen due to karma. It's hard to say that this is exactly due to karma, but a good amount of impact could come from karma. But to assess how much karma are involved in that particular situation is up to someone like the Buddha. So we cannot assess situations, but Buddha has clearly told us do not put every situation, life condition into karma in the first place, which is what many Buddhists are doing. So-called Buddhists are doing. If something happens, yeah, it's due to my karma. If someone succeeds in his or her life, that is due to my karma, right? So karma has been kind of something that people throw everything, which is not good actually, which is not what we are learning through all these suttas. All right, let's go to the notes at this point and understand our content today. I put this way, why do our bodies tell such different stories? Now, we have a question at this point before we jump into this sutta's context. How many bodies have we been carrying throughout sansaric life? Is it a good question, right? In many suttas, the Buddha talks about that even someone wants to pile up the skeletons one used to have in past lives. The pile of the skeletons would go beyond the very famous mountains in India at that time. So that means how many bodies had we used in the past in our sansaric life as humans, as birds, as reptiles, as mammals, and whoever, right? Also, we might have had bodies, very very subtle bodies like Deva, Naga, and those. So that means we have used many bodies in our sansaric life. It's not just this. But why are our bodies giving us different indications at different times in our life? The first thing that we have to think is that we have to be very happy for something in our life. We have become humans. That is a very uh, interesting source for us to be happy. We would have never become humans without engaging in a very high kusala karma. So we have to be very grateful, thankful to that particular kusala karma, wholesome act or verbal speech, whatever act we may have done for that. So then we have to continue this human journey because being a human is better to engage in kusala activity and also to enhance, improve our thoughts and then thereby all the other acts that we are going through in our life. So we have been experiencing so many bodies. In one of the places, the Buddha, it is said that the Buddha said that even being a bird in our sansaric life, we cannot say that we have not roam around in this particular space in the sky. So that means being bird itself, we have become, we have traveled around, we have roamed around in the whole space. Think about how many species are there in terms of birds. Can be an eagle, can be a bat, can be a pigeon, can be a crow, can be any bird. So that means during our sansaric life, we have become almost all birds. Right? Then what about other lives? That's why sometimes we are carrying our past life habits. Remember, I told you a story. Four or three people or four groups went to the temple during the Buddhist time to listen to a Dhamma talk. And then during the Dhamma talk, one person out of that group started plucking some leaves of a tree in the Dhamma hole. And then the Buddha was looking at that person. I think I shared this story, but just to tell you, to connect the story, the person who is trying to pick something, grab something, pluck something, especially leaves, flowers, this particular person was reborn as a monkey for many lives in the past. So now, even due to a certain stroke of luck, stroke of good karma, he became a human. But still, he cannot give up that habit of being a monkey for many many lifetimes. Interesting. And the person who was always looking up, looking above the Dhamma hole. Hopefully, at that time there were no that many ceilings in the Dhamma hole, at that time. So this particular person who is always trying to look up, trying to look at the sky, was someone who was an astrologer in many past lives. So this person was an astrologer who was always counting planets and then the zodiac things and those astrological stuff. Now, even due to a good karma, he became a human, but he still carries his past habits. That's why he always look at the sky. Right? And the person who was at the same time, there was another person who was trying to draw some lines on the floor. Like, I think we have seen some people like that, right? When you are talking to them, if they were sitting on the ground, they try to draw some lines on the floor, the ground. So that person was one of them. So then the Buddha said, this person was a centipede or millipede in many past lives. So now he or she cannot let go of those past habits. So what does this mean? That means we can still understand if we have a certain strange habit that we have been continuing even in this life. The way how we talk, the way how we position us, situate us, the way how we move about, they all have certain karmic conditions, especially we call them sansaric habits. In Pali we call vasana, V long A, S A N long A, vasana, habits. So that means we have used a lot of bodies. Now the problem is, now we don't want to go back. As Buddhists, we have to be in the present moment. Why is it? Why are we supposed to be in the present moment? Why is it important to be in the present moment? It is because in many suttas, especially in the Majjhima Nikayas, Baddhikaratta suttas, the Buddha said the secret of happiness among my senior disciples, monks, is that they do not worry about the past and they don't worry about the future, and they blend in the past and future with the right things. They live in the present moment with happy memories and with happy plans. Now, some people misunderstand when they are asked, especially from mindful retreats, they say, stay in the present moment. But how to stay in the present moment? I have a link to my past. I have to plan for the future. What did the Buddha say? You need to go to the past if you want to learn from your mistakes. You have to. And then, but never dwell in the past. Never end up in the past. When many people go to the past events, they end up in those past events, perhaps being very self-blaming about oneself, so on and so forth. And we also need to plan ahead. We may have to go to the future. We should have some dreams. Are Buddhists not allowed to have dreams? I don't think so. Buddhists are supposed to be purposeful, ambitious. So they must have good plans in their life. Think about someone who is always thinking, I will never become rich in my life. What if you become rich all of a sudden? What are you going to do after that? You must have a plan. If I become rich, this is what I want to do in my life. So that is why Buddhism says have a plan, but don't live in the future. Don't live in the past. You need to live in the present moment by having a whole holistic idea about the past and future. And the Buddha said, the main reason why my monks and disciples are happy because they are living in the present moment. So that's why we have to understand a lot of things in our life by being in the present moment, right now. Remember, now Buddhism talks about this mindfulness, especially sati, sampajanya, and all that. But it didn't hit many Western audience until Eckhart Tolle wrote a book called The Power of Now. A European gentleman who was a Canadian at this point. The power of now got a lot of interest because people don't think the moment, how powerful is the moment right now at this point. Because this is the moment we understand our past, our future, at the same time, how to navigate my life from this point onwards. So then, now we are looking at the present moment of our health, our body, mental health, physical health, and emotional health. Okay. So there seems to have some issues with regard to different people's bodies, but why? What are the main reasons for that? The Pali text that we are picking up from the Culakammavibhanga Sutta is this today. Let me read that. The cause of sickness. The Buddha is very adamant about why some people can become always sick. What they may have done in their previous lives. Ida manava ekacho ittiva purusova. Young man, some women or men. Satta nang viheta jatiko hoti paninava, ledunava, dandenava, sattenava. This means some women or men is one who harms beings with hand. This is about harming other people. Panina means hand, and leduna means cloth, and dandena means stick. Or sattena could be with a knife, and in modern sense, it could be a weapon. It could be even a gun. It could be a stain, kind of something like that. So if someone was to harm another person with the hand, the cloth, with the stick, with the knife. So they come, not even that, vihetaka jatiko. This is a very interesting word. Vihetaka jatiko means always, constantly. Right? Now there are people who are harming others time to time, but there are others who are always doing that. So this is more about harming other people with certain physical aspects. And then, so tena kammena evang samatte. Due to this particular karma, bad karma, and samattena means having completed this particular harming activity, samadhinnena. I think this Pali word is very familiar with you. Samadhinena. What does Samadhinena mean? Has anybody ever heard this Pali word? Samadhin, you know that this Pali word, but not in this way, in another form. Do you know the Pali word Samadhyami? You know that word, right? Where do you know Samadhyami? Where is it mentioned? Panatipata, Veramani, Sikkhapada, Samadhiya. Adinadana, Veramani, Sikkhapada, Samadhiya. Samadhiya means observe. Now here Samadhinna means past participle of that Samadhiya. Now, due to the bad karma, due to the completion of that bad karma, due to observing, due to engaging in this particular bad karma, engagement, samadhyami, another word, engagement. So, due to the engagement of harming other people with the hand, with the cloth, with the stick, with the knife, this could, the list could go on and on. It could be another weapon, it could be anything into this world. Kaya sabeda param marana. After the death, param marana, apayang dukkating vinipata niryang upapajja. If we summarize this particular phrase, that this person is going to be reborn in a apaya. Apaya means a standard hell, because we have 16 hells in our understanding, 8 hot hells and 8 cold hells, and there are sub hells for each 16 hells. So 8 hot, 8 cold. So for the most part, this particular person who harms other people with hand or whatever the way, supposed to be reborn in a bad place. Now, what you need to understand here: never harm anybody. For whatever the thing, you may justify the reason, but never even raise your hand. We will talk about the rest of the things, because that demeans you, that makes you an un-Buddhist, right? This is why I'm telling Sutta studies, Dhamma talks will never work until you bring the true Dhamma into your life. Otherwise, this will be a knowledge, a very, very big a knowledge that you can't even carry. It will stop your journey as well. It has to be materialized. So the moment we understand no, it is no, because there is an ethical parameter here. Never harm anybody in whatever the format. So at this point, we are talking physical harming. So now you understand physical harming will take you to a bad place. Nobody would like, not because we are going to be reborn into a bad place. That is why we have to distance from harming others. We have this golden rule. We don't want other people, and we don't want things happen badly to us. We also want other people to be happy. We want other people's safety as well. So we need this what you call very human, very compassionate understanding. That is why I always highlight, while you are learning Dhamma, on a side, if you can keep practicing Brahma Viharas, Metta Karuna Mudita Upekka, nothing is going to happen to you. You don't have to individually take care of yourself. Do I kill other people? Do I harm? Do I do this and that? Because if the Brahma Viharas are working on the side with your mindfulness, you don't have to worry about these precepts. Because precepts are automated at that point. Otherwise, you have to manually distance yourself. Oh, I should have to be very careful. This might happen, that might happen, right? So now at this point, if someone is to harm another person with a stick, with a knife, with all those things, this person is definitely supposed to be reborn in a hell. Not even that. That is not the main thing that we are discussing here. Noche kayasya veda param marana apayang duggating vinipatang niryang. In case this particular person is not going to be reborn in a hell for whatever good karma, because some bad people are not always bad, right? They may have done some good karma too. For whatever the good reasons, good karma, they are not going to be reborn in a hell. But such a manussattan agacchati. This particular person happens to be reborn in the human world. But there is something happening here. Yatta yatta pacha jayate. So that means in whatever the human life this person is going to be reborn, bauha badu hoti. Abadu bahu hoti. What does abada mean here? We discussed this Pali word before. Abad. Abad mean? What does this Pali word mean? Abad. And there's another Pali word here. Do you understand? It might not be here. We discussed this Pali word too. Roga. There are two Pali words here. Where did we discuss these two Pali words? We discussed them under Girimananda Sutta, the sutta that we discussed earlier, prior to this one. Is there a difference between abada and roga? Yes. Abada means discomfort, inconvenience, discomfort. And roga means pain. It is pain. Not every discomfort is painful, right? Think about you catching a cold. It is not painful, but it is very inconvenient. Right? You have to check yourself, you have to blow, you have to. It's very discomfortful, right? It's not comfortable. So not every discomfort is a pain, but there are comfortable situations that are painful. So abada roga. But here the Buddha says, as a matter of harming other people with a knife, with hands or whatever the things, this particular person, if this particular person is going to have a chance to come back to the human world, the person is going through lots of discomforts. So these discomforts are not exactly one or two things. It could come from different situations. Now think about if you look at individual life, how many people are having certain minor uncomfortable situations in their life? They might be very sensitive to lactose. They can't even have some dairy products. Lactose intolerance. Some might have some issues to pollen allergies, some allergies, right? And some might have some other issues to what are the other things? There are so many things like that. Why are these people carrying these things? Is it possible to find out someone who has no allergy to anything? Some can't even have a chocolate, nut allergy, right? So why are these happening? Especially in today's world, we see a lot of children are having issues as such compared to 20, 30 years back. Why are they having as such? What is the problem here? Right? So the thing here is that for whatever the conditions, these things are happening. So that means the Buddha said, Bauha Bada, that particular human may exhibit lot of discomforts in his or her life. These discomforts may be extend to some sicknesses, some illnesses as well. Let's go back to the text again. Bahu abadu. Abadu means discomfort. They are not exclusively roga, but they may be roga too. Then what happens? Bauha bada sangvattanika esa mano patipada. Are there people who are expecting some pain, discomfort from other people in today's world? Are there people who would like to get some pain of other people? It's ombudsman mentality, right? Now the Buddha says this is the path. This is the path to experience a lot of discomforts in life. That means if someone wants to go through a lot of discomforts, there might be sicknesses as well. If you want them, harm other people. I think nobody would like to harm other people in reality. In practice, they may mess up. They might mess up. In reality, nobody wants that. But why they make mistakes in their real life? That is something we have to learn at the end by as we discuss this sutta discussion. You know it is not good, but it happens. Why? Where is the problem? And then the good side. Why some people enjoy good health, not ill health like before by hurting other people, harming other people. It is the opposite. You can see Ekacho ittiva purusova sattana aviheta jatiko hoti paninava letunava. That means if there is someone who is not harming other people with a cloth, with a stick, with whatever other physical aspects, this is the person who is going to be reborn in a heaven or a good life. In case the person is not going to be reborn in a good place, I would say a heaven or Brahma world, the person comes back to the Manusha world. And then if, wherever, what kind of human space is the person going to be reborn, the person has appa bado bodhi. I think people misunderstand this point. Appa bado. The sickness is something that we all go through, especially discomfort. Maybe not the sickness. We all go through discomfort. We all go through certain situations where we don't like. But the way how we experience, the perspective that we are putting into that particular situation matters to us, not the discomfort itself. So the Buddha said, there's no idea that there's nobody who is going through discomfort. But if someone has not harmed other people, that particular person will go through no to minimum, little to no discomfort in his or her life. I think we have seen such people too. Now you take the example of a famous monk, I think, who lived almost 130, 50 years. He lived. He's the only monk, the Buddha disciple who lived, I think, 160 perhaps. 150 years old, 160 years old, his age. His name was Bakula, Bakul. So in reality, he lived double the time the Buddha spent. The Buddha passed away when he was 80 years old. But this Arahant, Bakula, lived for almost 160, I guess. So now, in his story, there's a sutta called Bakula Sutta in the Majjhima Nikaya. In sources, it is said that he even did not ask anybody's support, and if I can remember properly, he even didn't have a sneeze, even for a moment, a sneeze. Sometimes our body has certain reactions, right? He did not have even a sneeze. That means he had done a lot of good karmas in the past. He never harmed other people. So this is the main reason that comes after us. So that means we do something wrongly and we carry that wrong activity with our body to another life differently. This body finishes, and that bad, negative, toxic things will go to the next body. So why to carry these things? Let's stop. Even a thought of harming other people, even if it comes when we were distracted in our life, when you were angry, when you cannot control yourself, when you were distracted, there's something you can do. All right. So the primary reason for bad health uh, could could be due to a certain harming of other people. And the primary reason for someone to have less discomforts, little to no discomforts, could be due to the taking care of other people, always trying to save other people, this mentality. Right. And then the question that baffles even today, the question that actually really, I mean, triggers our understanding about this particular aspect is, why do some people enjoy robust health all their lives while others, despite careful living, struggle with chronic illness from birth? So this is something very interesting. I think about the vegetarian guy who passed away when he was 20 something years old. Somebody said to me, why was he? He was vegetarian. He was not eating any red meat, anything bad things. He was very careful. He was non-alcoholic. He was sleeping properly, but he passed away. Why? We discussed that in last week, right? So that means we cannot look at everything from this life situation. Yes, we have to. It's better to become a vegetarian that way, if possible. It is better to become as such, but still certain things may come from past life. That's why we say karma can play a role sometimes in that. But sometimes you see there is someone who is very unmindful about many things, eating whatever that person wants. Uh, no any mindfulness with regard to sugar, salt, and bad oil, but still living. Theory-wise, this person should not be having that kind of a life. Why is it? Karma. Different karma might go to this particular person. So what Buddhism says is that you don't have to only look at karma. Karma could be one thing, and you also have to think about your lifestyle and your fitness, your mentality, your environment. These things are also supposed to be considered by everybody. So we cannot put everything that way. So here, there is a question as such, why some people go through certain chronic illnesses at the time that they were very careful. Why are some born into bodies that thrive while others suffer silently in theirs? Is it simply biology, random fate, divine will? Some religious ideas, they go around random fate, divine will. The Buddha offers a transformative ethical and karmic perspective that challenges both scientific materialism and fatalistic superstition. Now, Buddhism is going above materialism and fatalism. Buddhism says that we have to look at every condition as much as possible to understand the situation. There's no one reason, one condition that makes the situation. There may be multiple conditions that could be involved for certain things to happen. So we have to always think about when we are looking at someone's situation, someone might complain, I'm always sick. I'm a good person. I have this problem. I was recovering from one problem after the COVID, but suddenly I got another health problem. Now I have to blame the vaccines I took, perhaps the doctors, perhaps the bad vaccines I took, perhaps what was the third vaccine called? That particular vaccine, right? The booster, right? So they may be picking up certain materialistic perspective with regard to their ill health, but this might not be the reason sometimes. So there may be many conditions that might involve in someone's good health and bad health. So Buddhists are supposed to look at as many conditions as possible. Now, we looked at this question or these questions, this question, the second question, third question, through Culakammavibhanga Sutta, Majjhima Nikayas 135. This is our sutta. In MN 135, the Buddha teaches that sickness and health are not merely the results of external or immediate causes, but consequences of past moral actions, specifically acts of violence or harmless. You can see the same idea that we discuss here. Cause of sickness, past harm; cause of health, past harmlessness. This is not punishment or reward, but a moral law of cause and effect, karma vipaka, akin to how planting a bitter seed leads to bitter fruit. So this means there is a karmic connection to some people's ill health, poor health. But we cannot rapidly say that this is the reason behind your problem. But there is a karmic connection for some other people's health problems, good and bad. Normally, we understand the karma, what do you call, the reasons behind good health, bad health could be, in our way, genetics, diet and exercise, healthcare access, environment. This is what we normally look at in our life. Now, genetics is a very interesting topic for 30, 40, maybe more than 30, 40 years. Now we understand scientists could modify genes. They could do it, but they are at different stages in their experiments. So that means in the future, one day, due to the, what do you call that? Transhumanism. This is the subject that they are doing. Transhumanism means scientific advancements through technology where they are going to bypass the biological realities, biological limitations that people are having. It could be aging, it could be uh, sicknesses, it could be some other things. So, if scientists could understand earlier that there is a mother who is going to give birth to a son who has who will have certain deformed parts of the body, if they could change the genes earlier, even during the embryo time, fetus time, this could be a massive revolutionizing breakthrough in science. So how does karma look at it? Karma still says yes. Why that son got the gene as such? Yes, due to the scientific advancements, they could do something. But we understand now in today's world, yes, uh, gene modification, gene engineering can change someone's unhappiness into happiness. So this is something that we understand in our normal discussions. And the second part is, as we understand here, genetics and then diet and exercise. Okay, diet and exercise. How important is this in Buddhism? I'm not talking from the scientific perspective. I think you know all the information about that. You might be reading all the time. What did the Buddha tell us with regard to physical fitness? The Buddha always asked monks and nuns to do the walking meditation. Walking is very important, right? This walking meditation we call Chankamana is such an interesting meditation, right? So during the walking, it can really help them to focus themselves because some people cannot focus while sitting down. I found a lot of people like that in meditation retreats. When they sit down, they cannot concentrate. But when they start walking slowly here and there, they focus. Different people focus differently. Not that everybody has to sit down and do anapanasati, this and that. They have to do this and that. No, you can't say that. Different people concentrate differently. So, especially retreats that we are doing for young people, young adults, most of the retreatants are very happy for walking meditation. Perhaps they like the experience. At the same time, that walking meditation is something that is on the go and then can concentrate oneself. This is a very interesting way to stay fit. So we think the second reason why many people having good health and poor health could be, uh, fitness or especially food and fitness, these parts. So this is also important. And Buddha clearly says about the food, we have to take food in moderation, right? So taking food, consumption of food, at the same time, fitness, this is something we understand. Third, we know healthcare access. This is something that we know depending on the place where we are living. This could also be a problem. And environment. Environment is also very important, especially we are looking at today's problems, gas emissions, and then some other issues that we are having, bad, poor quality air, right? These are all conducive to our health. So that means we cannot say that the reason why somebody got a lung cancer through the poor quality of air. could always come from karma. Maybe he or she is living in a place where the air is so bad. I mean, the poor air. All right. So these could be normal ways that people understand the good health and poor health. But the Buddha boldly adds another layer. Your past actions, especially acts of harm, echo in your physical body. This is not moral punishment, but natural karmic unfolding. According to this Buddha's idea, if you think you are having a certain sickness due to a bad karma, you never know. If you hypothesize if it was due to a bad karma, you have to understand this is not a moral punishment. Rather than it is a moral punishment, it is a karmic unfolding. Now, karma is being unpacked at the right condition, in the right condition. It can happen. So, this is the formula to understand. Harm others, carry the karmic residue in your body. So you carry forward to the next life. Live harmlessly, inherit the grace of health. Right? So that means what we can do at this point, from today itself, you can think about, I will never harm anybody. That will make me healthy, definitely. Even the health that you didn't expect will come to you, even in this life. Because the moment that you are having a thought that I'm not going to harm anybody, that thought is so powerful. That is how you're going to create lots of health, and you may exhibit this idea through certain actions. And then it is not random, it is not fate, it is cause and effect beyond the microscope, tracing the unseen ledger of karma. Okay, what does this mean for us today? A health condition might be more than a medical event. It could be a karmic message. So sometimes this could be the reason, but I'm not telling you that just worry about this thing. If you have a chronic problem, if you have a chronic back pain, if you have a chronic knee pain, don't think that this is due to the karma. To follow the medical treatments and all that. But this could come from a certain karmic unfolding. We never know. It could be. Instead of asking, why me? This is the question that a lot of people ask when they suddenly got sick. We begin to reflect, how can I live differently now? I think this is a very interesting point to discuss, right? Now, even if you don't believe this idea, how can I live differently from now? This is the reality that you are going to. Let's say someone passed away in your family all of a sudden. You never expected. And now, why me? Why my family? But it happened now already, for whatever the reason. But as time goes by, you will live differently by accepting with the timing. Right? So we need to have this understanding with regard to some of the things. And when you are very stressed out, you will have some certain health problems too, right? I mean, not even the physical problems initially itself. Let's say you are so stressed out, so your stress hormones are going to be active. And when your stress hormones are going to be very active, this can, scientifically talking, medically talking, speaking, they can affect your insulin deposits in your pancreas, right? So what, according to them, is that when the stress hormones are releasing a lot of stress, and then what is happening, those emissions will break the insulin deposit in your pancreas, and insulin becomes sugar back again. And somebody might get diabetes at that point in a different ways through the stress. So that means if you have a health problem initially, rather than taking the necessary medical treatments and creating a good attitude about the health issue, rather than being worried about it all the time, this will create double problems. So Buddhism asks you to manage that situation, not to be worried. Why is this happening? right? So you are creating a healthy attitude to look at what is happening to me rather than being worried about that particular situation. So that's why here, how can I live differently now is a good way to look at it. The path to healing begins not just in medicine, but in ahimsa, harmlessness, in thought, word, and deed. Ahimsa means harmlessness. Okay, we will look at health and responsibility here with regard to modern situation. Contemporary science explains illness through genetics, infection, environment, and behavior, all very proximate causes. But the Dhamma deepens this view, offering a moral ecology where body and mind are interlinked across lifetimes. Now we understand that we don't only look at the body itself. According to Buddhism, mind and body are always linked. Although this linkage is going to be broken at the end of every life, again, mind is going to enter into another body, or body is having another mind, and then the entity being changed continues. It perpetuates. The entity, the karmic entity, perpetuates. So the thing here is that modern science does not look at body with the mind, body, mind. So Buddhism looks at body with the mind, even though there is a certain breakdown in one lifetime. So that's why we have to take an initiative. We have to be concerned about how to take care of both the body and the mind. Because if you are evil at a certain point, if you are unwholesome, through that mind, you will operationalize that particular activity with your body. So we have to take care of these actions way before these things are going to happen. We talk about genes. Beyond genes, inherited karma can matter. Modern medicine sees predisposition to disease in DNA. Early Buddhism suggests a karmic blueprint shaping which womb we are born into and how the body functions within. Karmic blueprint shaping which womb we are born into. What do you think about it? Do you think that you chose your mother's womb? What do you think? Do we have a selection? Do we have a choice to make before we go to someone's, if we are lucky enough to become a human? Do we have a choice to make a selection? We have. That is why in the last verse of the Metta Sutta, there is something specific about this particular point. Talking. What is it? Dittincha anupagamma silava dassanena sampanno kamesu vinaya gedham nahi jatu gabbaseyang punareti tina. Nahi jatu gabbaseyang. Gabba means womb. As a perpetual practice, constant practice of true metta grows, you have to make a decision. Your decision is you are not going to be reborn in somebody's womb again. Go back to the sansara. This is a higher level of metta. You don't have to think about that now. But it says you can make a selection. Now here we understand scientific discoveries are talking about if you are born into a certain womb, that womb carries mother father elements, and you will have to go through those elements. If it was a sickness, if it was a thing coming from the chromosome, you have to go through that. Let's say in your generation you have a bad anger. Your mom was very angry, and now you have been affected with that anger. And you might call, hey, my mom also angry, I'm less angry. Then maybe the father, maybe good things. My father was very compassionate, very loving person, family man, always. And I think I'm also doing the same for my family. So you are affected. So the thing is that why you were born into that loving family, that means your karmic blueprint and their karmic blueprint were paired, synchronized. So that is what we understand from Buddhism. Scientists don't talk about this blueprint. They are saying if you were born into this person's body, yeah, you have to go through this DNA. right? So now we understand the karmic blueprint is being carried forward. That's why we have to carry a very strong, healthy karmic blueprint, right? That is what we understand here, other than the DNA. Mental and moral health interwoven, they are together. As seen in the Girimananda Sutta, you all been studying Girimananda Sutta for many weeks. Perception, sanya, can heal your health problems. Thus, mental purification reduces future suffering, implying mindfulness, compassion, and ethical living as healthcare strategies. Now, I have a follow-up questions for you because you've been studying Girimananda Sutta, right, for many weeks. And how does Girimananda Sutta talk about healing? Girimananda Sutta says, if you have right perceptions, the proper perceptions, you can heal your physical problems, mental problems, emotional problems. So the problem is that why many people go through health issues, for the most part, they don't have the proper perceptions that they are supposed to develop, cultivate. So now Buddhism says, don't worry, even you may have a health problem, but if you adjust your sanya, perceptions, you may get better. So Girimananda Sutta, highlights this perspective. So the idea here is that mental, moral health, they are inseparable. Ethics over entitlement. Entitlement. In a world obsessed with looking healthy, the Dhamma reminds us how we treat others, especially the vulnerable, may shape our own physical condition later. No one escapes the echo of the actions. Who are the vulnerable people in this world? We, of course, we understand animals are very vulnerable. We have to be very compassionate towards animals. Not even the loving pets that you are petting every day, every animal. Also, other people, I think everyone is vulnerable. So we have to have that compassionate metta karuna mudita upekkha ideas today. So this will help us to successfully be eligible for good health. Finally, the collective karma and social health. We discussed about collective karma a few weeks ago. Think of war zones, exploitative industries, and systematic violence. Whole communities suffer poor health, not merely by chance, but possibly due to collective unwholesome karma. And I link a sutta here, Yodha Jiva Sutta, Samyutta Nikaya 42.3. Please click on that, you will see a certain story. Now think about the war-torn zones. I don't want to mention a certain place. You think about all the people are going through suffering, pain, and for them to be reborn in that kind of a place, what they may have done, right? So perhaps they may have done a collective karma, or they may have done similar karma over many lifetimes. So the Buddhism looks at the health problems. It could be a radiation problem. It could be a dietary problem. It could be not being able to access to certain basic needs. All these may carry a karmic relevance. So we may have to look at it that way, but not everything. They may carry a certain karmic relevance. And we will discuss the last part, and then we will let you ask any questions. Now, what can we do? I think this is the most important part. What to do? Number one is that never harm anybody, basically at this point. And then we will discuss more things to do. Sila. Here, instead of focusing only on fixing symptoms, the Buddha's path suggests Sila. Sila means ethical conduct. It helps us as a preventative medicine. What is this Sila and how it becomes a preventative medicine? What are the preventative medicinal approaches in today's world? We understand prevention is better than cure. This is a very famous proverb, right? Then the Buddha talks about that there are things like preventative medicines. What is the preventative medicine in Buddhism? Sila. If you don't harm other people, then you practice the preventive medicine. Then harm will not come to you. Very interesting. That is something you can. So you keep to your precepts. Keep to the 5%. Don't worry about the 8%. Keep your 5% at the very least. You are good. And then second thing you have to do is karuna, compassion, as karmic purification. Now think about uh, what we are going through when we get to see someone who is going through pain. We initially come up with empathy, right? But later on, if we can support that person, we may think I can be compassionate. I can donate some money. I can support, but not much depending on my affordability. You may think about that. But here, what we understand is that if you bring enough compassion, you can engage in positive activities whereby and thereby you purify yourself from any leftover bad karma that are coming along the journey. Third, panya, wisdom, the most important thing in Buddhism, panya, as deep healing of self view. Why panya is connected to self view? What is our view in our daily life? Do we have a political view? Yes, global political view. You have a local political view? Yes, you may have. Social view, religious view, your personal views. That means we are every day carried away by our own views. For the most part, a lot of people are held back with their views. Some people they want to be successful, but they cannot be successful. Why? They don't know how to let go their wrong views. Think about it. There's a family. They all understand the problem in the family, but nobody wants to make the move. They all are just saying you are wrong and I'm correct. Right? Where is the way out for this problem? And everybody doesn't have courage to come out and then make the move. So that clearly means problems with regard to our ego, our views. So we have the Buddhism says the first thing that you are overcoming in your sansaric journey as an enlightenment is sakkaya ditthi. You need to let it go. This ego is the biggest problem. Ego can come up with good things too. Be careful. Ego is not always coming from akusala. Think about someone is doing a lot of good merits, always doing merits. And at a time, the person might think, see, I am doing more merits than everybody else. I am doing more dana, I am doing more meditation, I am reading a lot of dhamma, I am coming to sutta study, I am doing this and that, so I should be better than all of you. What is this? An ego. This is a good ego. Good ego means ego will come in a good way. Right? That's why. That is my practice. I don't have to brag myself. I do it by myself. This is what I want. But I have to make sure, am I overdoing sila? Am I overdoing meditation? Am I overdoing dana? Sometimes people overdo. That is also not a good thing. Buddhism always says, don't fall into any extreme. Don't fall into two sides. Don't overindulge. Don't self-mortify. Right? This is the Buddha's path. Think about someone who is overly giving pain to the body. I am a Buddhist. I want to practice simplicity. I want to be a minimalist. I don't want to eat in a good place. I always eat from a normal place, even though I can. I don't want to enjoy my life because Buddha said, lead a simple life. Yeah, Buddha said to monks and nuns as such. Buddha told lay people to be spending life in their own way without craving for that life. So that's why you have to be very careful when you are listening to Dhamma. Is this meant for the lay people? Or is this meant for the Sangha? This is very interesting. Some people, sometimes you write down and you think that this is what I have to do. No, you don't have to. That's why You need to learn suttas given to the lay people first, and then you will learn certain higher concept as necessary for the lay people. Start with the lay people sutta, Sigalovada Sutta and all that, Mangala Sutta, Parabhava Sutta, right? What if you forget about all these lay people sutta? You're going to learn about Madhupindika Sutta, about Papancha. You forget about all the lay people teachings given by the Buddha. And you will have a different view about life at that point, right? That's why it has to be done in a proper way. So here we understand again, we have to go in moderation for anything. So good, there are people who are doing good things and coming up with an ego. So any ego is holding you back into where you were. We have to keep going. So be very careful. Engage in good things in moderation. Do not overdo. Keep the interest going, but keep engaging. So then that will help you to understand your panya part. So you are not carrying certain wrong self-view. Ahimsa, not harming, the root of future health. If you are very much concerned about your present future health, that is ahimsa. And then here, closing reflection, what medicine misses, the Dhamma reveals. The hands that heal must not first have harmed. The mind that wishes for peace must sow peace. Health is not inherited, it is created. Bread by bread, choice by choice. Health is not inherited, it is created. That means good health that you think, which must have come from past life, was something you created. On the other hand, if there is something that you are enjoying as good health right now in your this life, also something you may have created. So good health has to be created. Blessings have to be created, right? Normally, when you go for a temple, Vihara, you expect Sangha members bless you as a very good thing. Time to time, we need some spiritually powerful individuals to support us. That's a very good thing. But the true blessings come to you along with those blessings, with your engagement, or how you're going to create your blessings, how you're going to create your health, right? This is very important. So create your health, create your blessings, create your good karma. Nobody will create that for you. The Buddha said, I only show you the path. You must walk along the way. I can't take you to the path, right? So this is what we learn out of here. In a world searching for miracles in pills and procedures, what's happening right now, the greatest healing may begin in the heart with the simple resolve, I won't harm, I will not harm anybody. Let me add you this thing. May this reflection of karma inspire us to live gently, free from harm in body, speech, and mind. Knowing hurt may return as forgiveness. Let's talk about this. I will not harm. I have to add two more things. What are they? Physical harm was what we've been discussing. What about mental harm and emotional harm? What do you think about your life? Have you ever met a bully who bullied others, who have bullied you? Or have you bullied other people? It's also harm because people were felt that you were torturing them or they were torturing you. So Buddhism looks at harm not even from a physical point. Why do I say so? If you go to the Noble Eightfold Path, you find out the second Noble Path factor as Samma Sankappa. What is Samma Sankappa? Right thought or right intention. What does it include? Nekkamma Sankappa, intention on renunciation. Avyapada Sankappa, intention on not destroying other beings. Avihimsa Sankappa, intention on harmlessness. Because harmfulness will initially come from your mind. Now, in this case, Culakammavibhanga Sutta, someone will grab a certain stick or a weapon or a gun. But here we understand what made that person to go to that level, a thought. So that thought could have been prevented as a preventative medicine. So here we understand then harmfulness initially springs from a thought. Then bullying, torturing other people. Now, what are the ways people torture other people in today's world? There may be people who might be torturing others financially, emotionally, in their loving relationships, in their families. We have to be very careful. Am I disturbing someone in my life personally? Am I rushing them? Am I rushing anybody? Am I pushing other people? Or am I respecting the boundaries? Am I getting the real consent? Am I creating a very healthy, holistic perspective environment in my emotional health? This is very important. And sometimes there are people who have all the things in their life. They have money, they have good people, but they are emotionally not good. They are not happy. They are always complaining. I'm not happy in my life. Then, when somebody wants to really talk about it, they are saying certain hypothetical things in their life. Why is it? There could be certain things that are attached to past lives. That's why not even physical harming, but also mental, emotional harming must be prevented, stopped. Thereby, you can have physical health, emotional health, and mental health. So, this is what we are learning today. And if we want to discuss about health in the Buddha stories, there are a lot of stories that we can think about. The Buddha even told us not to be happy when other people are struggling in their life. Okay? This is a very interesting thing. Sometimes we don't know. You see someone who is struggling. Remember Chulapantaka story? That's a very good one, I should discuss. There was a monk called Maha. Maha means M-A-H-A, Maha. Pantaka, P-A-N-T-H-A-K. Maha was an Arahant monk. And he was the monk who was taking up the invitations, invitations to go out. He's taking invitations at that time, during the Buddha time. There were no societies, associations at that time in the temple. So the Arahant Mahapantaka takes down. Our Buddha is invited tomorrow somewhere in Vajji state, somewhere in Kosala state, somewhere in somewhere else. So one day, Arahant Mahapantaka's brother, young man, he wanted to become a monk. Then Arahant Mahapantaka said, okay, I can ordain you. And then he ordained him. And the day he was ordained by Arahant Mahapantaka gave him a verse, 4-line verse. You are new monk, novice, samanera. You need to memorize this stanza. So I give you 1 week. But what happened was that this Chulapantaka now, the monk was Chulapantaka, his brother monk, this monk Chulapantaka could not memorize the stanza even after 4 months. He was trying every day to memorize, but he could not memorize it. So Arahant Mahapantaka said, you know what? You can't even memorize this stanza for 4 months. Why are you a monk anymore? You better destroy. So he was, with so much tears, he was now leaving the temple. And the Buddha in the morning saw this thing and he showed up somewhere on the road. He asked, why are you crying? Where are you going? And then he said, my brother monk, Arahant Mahapantaka, gave me a verse, 4-line Pali verse, but I could not memorize it for 4 months. So he asked me to leave. So I'm leaving. Then the Buddha said, this Buddhist order is not of Arahant Mahapantaka. This is my Buddhist order. Nobody can give you orders to go there. This is a very interesting thing, actually. You know, senior monks can ordain someone. They ordain on behalf of the Buddha. So, even though we understand in Thailand or other places, you can expel monks depending on the situations. Yes, I mean, they have their own version. But in real true Buddhism, you cannot ask someone to leave the temple. That's why the Buddha said, nobody can ask you to leave the temple. Even he ordained you. He ordained you on behalf of me. So he asked, okay, I know you cannot memorize Pali verse for 4 months. Actually, that verse you also can memorize in 1 week, our Sutta study participants. Then the Buddha told him what happened to him in his past life. In one of the past lives, he was a very genius student in the class. He was the top student. So other students came to learn from him. So one day, a very poor student who cannot even study well came to him and he mocked at him. He was saying, hey, you can't even memorize this small thing. Huh? How come? You should have done that. So he was mocking on him. He was actually picking on him. That bad karma kept coming to him, even he became a monk. See, that's why we have to be very careful. Even the small, funny things even also can come to us. So we have to take very seriously about our actions, our thoughts, our speeches. This is one very example. Then the Buddha was very compassionate to him. He knew how to bypass the karma at that point. He gave, okay, I give you support. I give you a white cloth and I'm going for a dana now. So what you are gonna do is that you have to rub it against, rub this white cloth against. Then the Buddha went for the dana. So the monk Chulapantaka, Samanera Chulapantaka was rubbing this again. And then he saw how is the white cloth becoming dirty. It was very white the Buddha gave me. He understood even the good things can become as such. And then it is said that he became an arahant. That's why some people cannot learn a lot of Dhamma through the books. They need some real life experiences. Like Sopaka, Rajamala, Kisa Gautami, Patachara, Ambapali. So they had different ways of tapping into and that's why I'm saying, yes, I mean, you are mostly welcome to study and learn. This is really helping you. But there may be some exceptional individuals who only make it true because of their life issues in a moment of time. But depending on the right conditions, the Buddha was the right at that point. So once again, I want to tell you that the primary reason for our good health could be a good karma, definitely. So please take care of your thoughts, speeches, and actions in a way that is not going to harm anybody mentally, physically, emotionally. But it does not say that this is the main reason why we are so healthy or good at this point. There may be other reasons. Maybe your life practice now, maybe, as Buddha said, mindful walking, mindful eating, understanding who to associate, understanding who not to associate, Mangala blessings. So there are other things might be involved. So I urge you to look at these two aspects, but fundamentally, never ever come up with any thought to harm someone. Now let's talk about the difficult situation in a moment of time. Yes, you all know that you are not supposed to. Then what to do in our daily life? In daily life, you must have a practice. What is that practice? From morning to evening, you wake up in the morning. How am I going to help somebody? Not what can I get from somebody today? What will I be able to get from some other people by the evening? No, what can I give to somebody? How can I help someone from that? That's what the Buddha told us. The Buddha did that 2 times, morning and evening. So if we have that karuna mentality, or metta or karuna mentality, then what is happening? You are going to maintain that thought during the day. When people are blaming you, when people criticize you, you are happily looking at those things. You are not going to be what you call taking revenge and talking back and making the mess more messy. You are accepting and accommodating and properly behaving at those times. Not that you must not do it or whatever, because we are dealing with a lot of people, different people. That will help you to stay good during the day in order for you to not coming up with any harmful thoughts. All right, so we will take a couple minutes for any questions now. If you have any question, please come up to the mic and ask. Any questions about today's particular topic? I can suggest you something. You have your WhatsApp, right? WhatsApp group, BME study. Please, can you type for me? I can see from here better. Your question. Okay, you got the question. The question is, we should practice Buddhist values in daily life. For example, by helping other people. But what if we may have unintentionally hurting the person feeling? Is this considered as harm? Since in the notes we mentioned, I will not harm you physically yet. So that is why every person is different in our family circles, in our friend circle, in our relationship circles. So that is why we need to understand how they think and their thinking patterns, how they respond. So by understanding their way of connecting to us, we can minimize this problem. Because sometimes we use the same thing that it might hurt other people. So if you are very concerned about it, you can understand more about how other people think and believe and all that. So we can minimize that situation. So then you don't have to think about that unintentional hurting because you try your level best. All right. So that was what I got, and yeah. So I think the time has already come to an end at this point. 9:30. We are now going to transfer all the good karmas to the uh, deceased loved ones and Devanaga Mahitika. May all the good karmas that we've been creating today by understanding about the primary reason behind good health and uh, ill health, uh, I mean, all these good karmas be transferred to all the departed ones. May they be well and happy. May they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Idam me nyati nang hutu sukita huntu nyatayo. Idam me nyati nang hutu sukita huntu nyatayo. Idam me nyati nang hutu sukita huntu nyatayo. Deva Naga Mahitika. May Deva Naga Mahitika receive all these good karmas. May they be well and happy. At the same time, may they protect and bless all of you for good health, quality of life, and prosperity. Not even that we create our good karma for being healthy and our life choices, we also need the blessings from the Devanaga Mahitika. They can support us if we are very good people. So may they support us in our Dhamma journey as well. Finally, may they attain the supreme bliss of Nibbana. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.